Damn. The production value of this one video about making a pick-proof lock is literally like through the roof. So many years ago, I used to watch a lot of lockpicking lore on my phone, on my TV, on my desktop as like videos on the second screen. And today, when I came across a video titled, Making the Most Pickproof Lock Yet, I just had to check it out. So come with me as we check out this video by Works by Design.
This lock is designed to be impossible to pick, but I've said that before. Twice I've tried to build an unpickable lock, and twice I was wrong. Today, I'm testing my final attempt.
I can feel the little click right there.
Before it faces a much bigger challenge. For centuries, nearly every lock has shared a weakness, but no longer.
It's the core.
Because
it's always been the core.
Gears rotate, keys turn on and off, and magnetically balanced pins all work together.
Oh, that's
locking
interesting.
out anything but the key. But in order to succeed, I'll need to pick the brains of the very people I hope to lock out. Welcome to the making of Unpickable.
But isn't the problem that you're making a lock that's like the same as the other ones?
So if a key can open a lock, then a tool usually can too. And it's just a matter of time before most locks can be picked. And that's the problem I've been trying to solve. How do you get a key to open a lock, but not anything else?
But isn't the problem that you have the key and a core? If you have a key, if you have an entrance to the lock and you have a core, that means that you can insert something into that core and then lockpick it. So I would say, in my opinion, removing the entire core and key part, then maybe using something else would make it more pick-proof than using the tools that is already available out there.
How do you get a key to open a lock, but not anything else? In my previous attempt, I was trying to stop a very specific type of lockpicking, where tools are used to first tension the core and then push up each pin one by one. Both of those locks were picked, so here's the new plan. For now, we're going to ignore trying to make a lock that's cut-proof or indestructible. Destructive entries are a concern, but I'm going to focus all my attention on making it pick-proof first. So that is step number 1.
Okay.
For step 2, we'll need to test the lock, ideally with someone who picks locks for a living.
Like lockpicking
finally,
lawyer?
For step 3, I'll make copies of the lock and send them around the world to some of the best lockpickers that I can find. Let's start with what we know. Locks work in practically the same way they have for hundreds of years. Key goes in, pin goes up, core rotates,
and then it's unlocked.
Lock is unlocked. One way we could make this harder is by adding more pins, creating false gates, or just adding complex mechanisms that nobody's ever seen.
That doesn't make it lock-proof.
It's just called security through obscurity, and it's not ideal.
But it just makes it longer.
Like a complex puzzle. It's only a matter of time before the curtain is lifted and the puzzle is solved.
Exactly.
And so my plan is to obscure nothing and show you exactly how my lock works through this video. This means that having inside information about the lock shouldn't actually help you pick it.
Oh, that's actually kind of smart.
I think I'll just completely remove the keyway.
How would you do that? Okay, that's actually cool. But how would you just remove the keyway? I mean, that's basically what I said before, right? Oh.
I just want to be in the zone.
I don't know if we can play this music or not. I'll have to check afterwards to see if it's like copyrighted. Yeah, but couldn't you just always, like, also just brute force that? Like, if you just, like, snap that off?
One of the easiest ways I've found to test a key is by having a keyway. And so what I've been working on is a lock that tests the key after it closes its door. So here we'll just insert the key. We will turn the dial to close the door. And then we'll just turn the whole thing another 45 degrees or so. And here it would theoretically test the key and unlock the lock. Now, though this is just a model, it's easy to start to see some issues.
Yeah, how do you get it out again?
Even though the door closes on the keyway, before this happens, the internals are still visible through the keyway. And there's possibly enough time before the door closes completely to still mess with something. So it also might be possible to jam or otherwise disable the doorway on the lock, and then you'd be left with the keyway just like any other lock. And so if only there was a way to completely keep the keyway empty of any of the mechanisms.
I really like the 3D animations in this one. With like all the cardboards and all like the other 3D renders they have. So what's the plan here? Dude, the production value here is insane. Is it supposed to be like someone spying on him? What was that supposed to be? Okay.
One thing I keep coming back to is how I can use magnets in my design. So I've been working on this magnetic pin system. This way the keyway is always empty and there won't be anything to pick. Unfortunately, I'm not quite there yet, but we'll also still need the door, as obviously magnets can be affected by other magnets, meaning picking might still be possible.
If you have a strong enough magnet.
My worst fears were realized after I found this other magnetic padlock on the market. As you can see, it doesn't have a keyway, but I found with a bit of luck and some random magnetic fields, it can still be opened.
Then you get it, yeah.
I was still pretty tied to this magnetic pin idea, but the way I was going about it made making more than 2 positions on these pins really difficult. And if all your pins are binary, even with 9 pins, you only have 251 possible combinations. So let's forget about pins for a second. If we're trying to make the locking mechanism inaccessible to any tools, I think we're on the right track with the door. What if instead of a door, we take a look at the keyway? It's centered now, but let's shift this over to one side of the core. Now add back the lock face with the same shifted keyway, and as we rotate the core, it swings around and is hidden behind the outer face of the lock, replacing our door by simply turning the lock as it needs to anyways. This also allows for a keyway that appears completely empty, as all of our mechanisms can happen
it's
over
on the other side. Oh,
so
that's
I have some
clever.
questions about how the key might work in this new lock, and I was going to show you that in my software, but I can't seem to get it to work.
Yeah, because the guy disappeared. Could
so
not
I
be
think
found.
Instead, I'm going to try a different method.
He's right there. He's right there.
So it turns out pins are one of the easiest ways to decode physical keys. And because they exist in so many locks today and are readily available like the set I have here, I've decided to use them in my own lock design. But because they're so incredibly small, I've made some cardboard ones to help us visualize. This is a typical key entering a keyway. You'll notice that the key has ramped features to allow each pin to slide over the key freely. This is my new lock design with an offset keyway. Please excuse the poor quality, it's hard to cut circles from cardboard. Also, the keyway is now a rectangle instead of a slot, but it's the same idea. Here's the problem. If we rotate the core and have no key, the pins fall into the keyway and jam it up. The solution? Well, most locks already have what's called a warding. In our case, by adding a ramped warding, we can keep the pins from falling into the keyway and also just cam them back out.
Yeah, that's smart.
Now our key can just take the shape of our keyway, allowing the pins to sit in each cut of the key at their correct heights. So this might be the first cut, this could be the second cut, and so on down the length of our key.
I see,
Remember,
I see what he means.
All of this is behind the lock face.
So we don't see it.
The only way in is after the core is rotated back to the open position.
You insert part of the key.
But you might see the problem here, and that is that there's no way to rotate the core from the outside. Unless, of course, you have access to the inside. So we need some sort of dial or turning interface like we had on our first lock design. But a dial only really works on a door lock. If we want to put this mechanism into a padlock, it forces us to have this big cylindrical profile. One solution is having a smaller dial on the center of the core. But now the smaller dial interferes with the key, and we have to increase the diameter of the core to allow the key to swing around it. So what if we shift the dial to one side? Now the core can shrink down, and we can gear it to the dial. This dramatically decreases the space we need, and we should be able to fit the whole thing in a more traditional rectangular padlock. But I'm already sensing a new problem. All of the key needs to enter the lock and disappear behind a wall. I don't know about you, but I don't carry a pile of loose keys in my pocket. We need to figure out a way to connect this to a keychain, but also not have to fumble with taking it off every time I unlock something.
And that's where magnets comes in, right?
I've been having some luck with my software now, but it's got some unusual bugs and a haunting presence. But if for some reason cardboard-aided design interests you, it's actually based on my favorite modeling software, Onshape. Onshape is completely cloud native.
That is insane and very insightful and very cool, but instead of talking about Onshape, you guys should check out Stanley.fish, because we may have just a brand new poster available on the site right now that you guys can get. And I think we're like on the 4th or the 5th poster so far. So if you guys want to get something cool for your rooms as well and support the channel, check out Stanley.fish and grab yourself a poster.
So I've been looking into the key issue some more, and this is definitely one of my favorite solutions. This is the actual size of the key in the current design, and above it is a scaled version. The plan is to add a key handle like many other standard keys have. And so it may look something like this. But to connect and disconnect the two halves, I've been inspired by the way Quick Connect fittings work on airlines. Applying this to our key, 2 ball bearings can live in these voids, and a switch will run between them, spring-loaded from the back. With these parts in place, the bearings keep the two halves from separating. But as soon as we want to use our key in our lock, we can pull back on our switch, and as we pull away, the ramps on the key side push the bearings out of the way. But the reason I've scaled this up so large isn't just for you. It's also because fitting that mechanism into a key this small has some issues. We could probably do it with metal parts, but if the key is pushed wrong while it's in your pocket, or simply dropped, those tiny features are going to deform and break.
Yeah, I agree.
So with this in mind, my thoughts again return to magnets. If we can design a latch that separates when too much force is applied, we can save those parts from breaking.
What is this guy trying to... Oh, it's a message.
Where'd that come from? Dial indicator stand.
You mean dial indicator stand?
Anyways, because the cross-section is so small on this key, the size of magnet that I could fit are very weak. Not to mention, how do you deposit the key into the lock when the magnet is trying to pull it back out?
There has to be magnets in the lock as well.
That's when I remembered I had one of these on my desk. This is a dial indicator stand, but all we need to know about it is that it can turn on and off with this switch. If we place a piece of steel underneath it and turn it on,
then it's magnetized. It holds onto
the steel fairly strongly.
Yeah.
And this thing doesn't take any batteries, so how is it doing that?
It's magnets.
Well, if we turn it around and look at the back, you can see the circular disc spinning as we turn it on or off. This disc is actually a long cylindrical magnet that is magnetic through the diameter. Surrounding it are 2 halves of steel. There's a gap between the steel where a non-magnetic material like brass or aluminum is used. When the device is turned off, it is quite literally just turning the cylinder so that the north and south poles are vertical in the housing. The magnetic field passes from north to south like it usually does, but the mass of the steel keeps the fields from going outside, sort of containing it. But when it's turned 90 degrees to the on position, the field can no longer pass from north to south because of the brass dividers. It's only when another chunk of material bridges the gap that the field can pass to the other side of the magnet, turning the entire housing into one large controllable magnet. So I'm not 100% sure on that explanation, so definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is to do the same thing, but with the key. Instead of trying to fit tiny magnets inside the key, I can put a large disc magnet in the handle of the key. But the handle will just be separated into 2 halves. To keep the 2 halves separated, I've just printed out some plastic spacers. And if we remember what we just learned, this should be the off position. Now we will rotate the magnet into the on position. But when we look at them side by side is when you can really see the difference.
Yeah, I see that.
Now as we introduce our key, it sticks to the handle as we imagine it should.
Because it's connected.
I'll just rotate to the off position.
And then it goes off.
And it is still slightly magnetic, although I think that's just because we need more mass in our handle.
Yeah,
you can see how the on position affects the flow of that magnetic field. All we need now is a better way to turn this on and off, and add some more mass into the handle to capture as much of the magnetic field as we can.
This is a long process to make this sort of lock here. But we have also been through like many iterations so far. I like the idea with magnets, yeah.
So I've been through a ton of prototypes on this lock, and I think I've worked out all the problems. I've also decided to go with a padlock as opposed to a door lock because they're self-contained and it just looks cooler. But before I share some of the hidden features, and most importantly, before we give it to a locksmith to test, I'm really tired of these 3D printed parts and they need an upgrade.
Oh, damn. So now we actually get it in metal. The production value of this one video about making a pig-proof lock is literally like through the roof. You did not have to like go this hard on a video about making a lock. Whoa. But that means that he basically already made the lock. When you upgrade it from just like the, what was it, the 3D printed design to this, that is the lock, if everything works, of course. But you still have pins. Oh, that's the key, yeah. Oh, that's actually a good place to hide that screw.
This thing is massive. It's almost 2.5 pounds of stainless, brass, and aluminum, but it was only made possible because of PCB Way.
How do you have two sponsors in like one single video? Stanley.fish. Anyways.
But the real question is, does it work? Well,
so you put in the key and then you slide the mechanism. Oh.
The short answer is yes, but let's take a look at the inside.
But it's a bit overcomplicated,
the first
like
step,
over-engineered.
Of course, is to insert the key. We then turn off the key handle and move it over to the drive gear. The key won't fall out because there's a small magnet holding it in place above the core. Now we'll rotate the handle one full revolution, and at this point it has interfaced with the pins, but is completely behind the lock body, making it inaccessible to any tools. Assuming we have inserted the correct key, all the pins have been set at the shear line between the red outer core
and then you can rotate it again.
This means we can rotate our handle one more half turn, allowing the red outer core to unlock the shackle. To relock the lock, we'll just turn our handle all the way back, move the handle into the keyway, remember to turn it back on, and extract our key.
All right.
So I'm pretty confident that you're not going to get any picks into this lock. As you can see, once it's turned into position, it's
that's
basically
impossible.
just a wall. You just cannot get anything past that wall. But picks aren't the only way to get into a lock non-destructively. And one of the ways that worries me the most is a form of inertia attack.
Yeah, where you just like hit it.
The idea being that you could whack one side of the lock with a hammer or mallet while you're turning the drive gear with a screwdriver, and with just enough luck, you can get all the pins to hop up above the shear line.
Yeah, at the same time.
So let me introduce you to the lockout pin. This little guy sits opposite the key pins, and under normal conditions, he just floats there, held in place by a tension spring that runs down the center. First, an attack would involve turning the core into the pins and applying some tension. There lies a cavity inside the outer core where a tiny magnet pulls on this pin, but the spring is just enough to keep it stationary. That is, unless the lock is vibrated, bumped, or
then
moved too quickly. And the pin's own mass shifts it into the pull of the magnet, where it snaps into the cavity.
And then you can't turn it anymore.
The core is now locked from turning, and the only way to reset the pin is to turn the drive gear all the way back to the beginning.
Oh my god!
Now you might be questioning whether any of this will work in reality, and so am I. So while you've been catching up on how it all works, I've reached out to a local locksmith. That is Mr. and Mrs. Locksmith.
No, because when I saw it, like I said, I'm just like, if you can't get tension on any of the pins.
You'll mostly just see Mr. Locksmith here because they just had a baby, but I want to give a huge thanks to both of them for taking some time to help me test this lock.
It'll cam that pin out of the slot.
Yep. So I see the little gear here. That's awesome.
I sent over an animation before I arrived, but we still did a teardown on site to make sure the mechanism was understood.
That is really cool. Yes, I do have springs in case we lose some. I think I just did. I've blown up many locks before. If I just lost one spring, that's not the end of the world. I can feel the little click right there of all the pins probably snapping into place because there's like that little ramp.
There's like an even put like a wire through there.
No, here, come take a look. So look,
but how would you do that?
And then you see the actual
core,
chamber
it disappears.
Fully
closed. Because once you start rotating it,
it like clamps down on itself.
Your pick just totally stops the playing.
What if you make a bended pin? Do you think there is enough space between the core and the body of the lock that you can get that in, but still you would need that wiggle room? I can imagine if you make a custom tool, like, how would I say this the best way? If this is your pick, if you my finger, if you like bend, if you like bend it like this, you basically see what I mean, right? So you put it into the body, and then when you turn the lock, it slides down, and then you can move it around inside of it if there's a gap between the actual body of the lock and the core. Then we're basically back to what they talked about before, where the more pins you add, the more complicated the puzzle is. But in the end, it's still a puzzle. There's always a solution to the puzzle. And it's kind of like the same here. If that workaround hasn't been thought about or looked into, then maybe they can still find a way to get a pick inside, and then they can pick it one single core at a time, or like one single you know what I mean, at a time, and then unlock it.
And now that you've seen it, I mean, I have.
Yeah, no, I'd have to make a tool. Wow. I mean, I gotta give you a lot of kudos on this. Like, you made it a two-part problem, which is ingenious. When you make an extra one, I could tear down. Try and hard bypass it. I would love to have that attempt, but
sweet, yeah.
You can't pick what you can't access. That's what I saw in the video. I was just like,
there is no gap.
He did it.
There is no
They
gap.
weren't able to get in, but more importantly, they were a great team to brainstorm with, and very informative on where it was lacking in the user experience. This was a huge step to prove out this lock, so if you're in the San Francisco area and you need a locksmith, I highly recommend the Mr. and Mrs. But you may be wondering where we go from here.
And that is sending it out.
If this lock is truly pick-proof, I need to send it to some of the best lock pickers that I can find. Luckily for me, there's a spot where they all meet, and it's an online community called Lockpickers United.
I took a look at your lock. It looks really interesting. You know, the principle is like, you know, get the key away from the human being and to hide it so that you can't manipulate the lock.
That is Artichoke 2000, one of the members of LPU, and he runs his own channel where he goes into excellent detail about lockpicking theory and practice. But I was not expecting what he said next.
The one thing that you have to account for is impressioning attacks. Do you know what impressioning attacks are?
I do, but oh man. I had almost completely ignored a lockpicking technique that doesn't require picks or even access to the keyway.
I don't know if your lock would be susceptible to it. I'd have to see it kind of in person, but it's just kind of the one thing that popped out on my radar as soon as I saw it.
Impressioning can be done in multiple ways, but the basic principle involves inserting a key blank into the keyway. Then apply tension like you would when picking a lock, and there will naturally be a pin that binds before the others. By rocking the key around in the keyway, you can get that binding pin to leave a small dent on the key. This dent is then filed away, and the process is repeated
and then
until you're left with the correct key.
Well, I got some
but
good
that's
news for
long.
you.
That's
there
very
are
long.
ways to kind of minimize impressioning attacks, and they generally have to do with like key pin design and chamber design.
Typically, the top pins are interchanged for various shapes to make picking more challenging. However, Artichoke describes how changing the shape of the bottom pins can actually make impressioning more challenging.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid design. It's cool.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate Artichoke taking the time, so if you want to learn more about lockpicking, definitely check out his YouTube channel. But now that I know a little bit more about impressioning and how you need a binding pin to leave little marks, because my core rotates into the pins, I'm not really sure that's even possible. I've also already used up all my money in developing this lock, so I can't make any large changes. But just to be safe, I do have a small change I'm thinking about making to one of the pins. My quick fix is to just switch out one of the pins with a plastic one. This way it shouldn't leave any marks on the brass blank, even if it does bind. With that fixed, I've also made 2 more locks. These are the brave voyagers who will make their journeys to lands beyond my reach, and I've dressed them with markings detailing their purpose and even a view of what's inside. And because taking apart the lock is half the fun, I've made it as easy to disassemble as possible, leaving open ports that are normally plugged and holding together this entire lock with just 2 fasteners. And my favorite feature is a hidden QR code linking to a document for any receivers of the lock to log their picking progress and findings.
Oh,
For all
nice.
of you watching, I've included a public link in the description that directly references this document. This way you can keep up with the lockpicking progress in real time. So by now you're probably wondering where I'm sending these to. One will be sent around to the members of the lockpicking community, and the other will be going to a lockpicking channel called LockNoob. We've been in contact and I've been sharing some details about how it works, but he's asked me to include something with the lock that worries me. Key blanks. Of course I agreed, and I had some brass blanks made to match my custom keyway. LockNoob will be making his own video about this lock, so I will link that in the description as soon as it's available. These are not ready for production yet, but if you're interested in finding out when they might be, you can fill out the form I've included in the description.
They're gonna be expensive as hell. I'm thinking this is like a $400, $500
I really love
lock.
how these locks turned out. There's definitely a few problems and flaws, like the operation of this key and how this magnet isn't actually that strong. I'm sure there are other flaws or ideas on how to improve this lock, so I'd love to hear those in the comments below. And until next time, thank you guys all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because as always, there are more projects in the works.
I kind of want to check out like the spreadsheet, and I do see like on the right side of my screen the video from LockNoob is like recommended over here. So I do want to see like how they actually picked it, but other than that, this was a great video. The production value was through the roof. He did an amazing job like explaining the entire process of it, and while I think there is still a way to lockpick it, like with the impressions that they talked about, it's overcomplicated. It's definitely an overcomplicated design, but it looks amazing. I do want to check out the spreadsheet here. They say this is the public lock view. If I open this one in here, we only have a couple of people, it seems like. So we have Riley, and then we have LockNoob. So opened with key and picked open. I used the key to open it. And there's a YouTube video here from Riley, which is on Works by Design. Is that... Oh, Riley is the... Never mind, I'm stupid, guys. Riley's the one who made the video. I'm stupid. So I think I want to quickly check out the video from LockNoob and see how they actually did it. If I go back here, you can see on the right side, we do have defeated. Picking works by design on pickable lock. I'm not going to go through the entire video. I kind of want to see the part where it's unlocked, if we can see that. They're doing the they're literally doing the impression method. That's why it takes so long. So if you go, oh my god, it makes total sense. So he made an impression, basically like the last video finished, he made an impression of the key itself.
So you might be thinking to yourself, why don't I just take this key out, unlock the lock, make sure that I can disassemble it in an emergency, all good. However, anybody watching will then say, but if you have information about the key, the way that the key is cut, then you will have been cheating. You will have unlocked this lock with prior knowledge of the key itself. And I have some terrible news for you. I can actually get information about the key, even in this state. And the thing about my channel is that I like to be honest and educational. I know that you know that you know that I know that you know that I know that there are ways to get past anti-tamper seals. And if I don't disclose to everybody up front that I can bypass the anti-tamper seal or otherwise gain information about this key up front.
So I feel like my understanding without watching the entire video and oh, he's like shining a light through it as well. I think if you guys want to get the entire picture, you should definitely watch the video for yourself. But I think we're kind of gonna go back to the first thing that, what was it, Riley said, that this makes the puzzle just more complicated. If there is a way to solve it and make it pick-proof, or make it, not pick-proof, make it pickable, that just makes it, it's a puzzle. It's solvable, but it's still complicated. And the way that he does it, it seems like he has the blanks for the key. And then every time he inserts it and he gets it out, he basically has the dent on it, right? As we can see here. Yeah, so they're doing the exact same thing that I talked about, where they keep on inserting the key, taking it out, inserting the key, taking it out, and then they basically create their very own key in order to brute force the lock. So this isn't really something you can do like out in the field, I would say. Like, I imagine if you want to pick a lock like this, it's going to be in a public area and it's not going to be like in a private space. So if you're like in a mall, in a station, in somewhere that is public, maybe outside a coffee shop where you want to like lockpick something, you're gonna be stuck there for quite a while with tools in order to figure out the right indents on the key in order to pick it. And while it isn't necessarily pick-proof, the chance of someone picking this lock while it's in the wild in a public place where they can be visually seen by others is very low. If it's like a quick, like, we're talking about if it's a quick 1-2 snap or a quick, you know, jig, 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 unlock, then you can quickly escape without many people or like even anyone watching you or like seeing it. But this method here, I can imagine this video in itself is like 43 minutes. It's gonna take a long ass time. So it's only really if it's like, let's say it's a small case that has a chain around it, or like not a chain around it. It's a small case that is locked by this lock here. Then if you have the time on your side and you have this for yourself privately, then you can go through this, I would say, is it arduous? This arduous and long process in order to create your very own key and then get it out afterwards. What if you have like a way to put something in, maybe like soft plastic or clay or something different, where when you try to unlock it, the pins go into it and then you can find out the indents of it. You can find where the indents are located, but that's still gonna be like a very long trial and effort, like a trial and error program. The way that he did it here takes like a lot of effort. I mean, I don't understand shit about lockpicking. I've watched some videos and I know like a little bit about, you know, I know about the tools. I don't know about the methods, if it makes sense. But I feel like if you find this in the wild, it's gonna be extremely complicated for you to pick it in the wild. You would need to be with yourself with this lock. You have this lock on your own for maybe a couple of hours if you're skilled enough, if you're confident in your tools and your skill set in order to unlock it. But that is just my opinion. As an outsider, as a LARPer, the newest term online right now is LARPing. As a LARPer, I can sit here and yap all day without knowing like the specifics of the lock and, you know, all the tools and the different experiences that people have. I am basically just saying what I believe, like what my experience is, what my feeling is in terms terms of like how pick-proof and how non-pick-proof this lock actually is here. But I think I might actually be done yapping for now. You guys gotta do me a massive favor and check out 2 people. You gotta check out Works by Design, and you gotta also check out LockNoob. Works by Design made this amazing video here. Production value is insane. Production value is super high. I really did like it. They have some more videos here on their channel as well. If they do make something in the future that you guys also want me to check out to see, like building pawns that transform into every piece, would be super cool if you guys want me to check that out in the future. So let me know. Check out Works by Design, subscribe to their channel, watch their videos, and also check out LockNoob. They have it again. Even 18 hours ago, foiled again. 2nd defeat of the Works by... So they have picked this lock 2 times now while I've been sitting here and just yapping. So check out LockNoob as well. Subscribe to their channel, watch their video. And once again, in the future, if you want me to check any videos out specifically by Works by Design or LockNoob, do let me know in the comments. So for now, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you guys think of this lock and this video in general. And with that said, I will head out.